Tucker Carlson humiliates billionaire Mark Cuban over comments about using taxpayer money. President Trump is getting significant pushback in Chicago, leading many to believe Democrats actually want crime in their communities. Two Democrats announce they've had enough of their broken party and they are flipping to Republicans. And Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett insinuates it's okay to steal as long as it's for necessities. To help me go through this and some of the other big stories in the news today, I have Maureen Callahan, a columnist over at the Daily Mail, and she also has her own podcast. Maureen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me back, Stephen.
So many big stories I want to go through with you. Just so my audience knows, Maureen Callahan is a seasoned journalist for the Daily Mail. I'll put a direct link to her column down below, as well as her show, The Nerve, where she goes through lots of big stories similar to what I do. I want to get your thoughts on this. A major announcement came out that a top Democrat mayor in New Jersey says he can't stand the ideology or the ideas of the Democrat Party. He literally doesn't know who the party is. He's flipping to the Republican Party and endorsing Republican frontrunner Jack Ciattarelli, who lost to Democrat incumbent Phil Murphy by only 84,000 votes in the last governor race. What are your thoughts on this? You don't see a lot of major Democrats switching and then immediately endorsing somebody. Your thoughts on this?
You don't see it that often. I think that what we're seeing is sort of a micro version of what it's the needle that Gavin Newsom is currently trying to thread. That needle for 2028 that's in recognition that the party has gone off the cliff in terms of progressivism and wokeism and trans ideology. But he can't really say that. So he sort of dances on the head of that pin, to mix my metaphors, excuse me. I think that what this Dem is doing is sort of saying the quiet part out loud. I think it's what a lot of people in the party are wrestling with. You know, we're almost a year out from the election of 2024, and the Democrat Party still has not figured out why they lost. They still have not figured out how to articulate what it is they're for, rather than just being against Trump. They are busy compiling lists of words that they're telling their adherents to no longer use because you're alienating people. That's the least of their problems.
Yeah. You know, speaking of changing words, I saw, oh gosh, where was it? Oh, Minnesota or one of those Democrat areas, but they basically, they're no longer calling fathers and dads. They're saying birthing person and other parent.
Oh, Stephen, you guys are way behind New York City. We've got birthing persons. You go into a doctor's office, you should see the language that's on the wall. Are you chest feeding? Are you a pregnant person? Are you a person with breast cancer, which, you know, disproportionately affects women by like 95%? You know, there's just this constant, there's this erasure of women. Women have had it, you know? So yeah, it's this major identity crisis that they're still wrestling with. And you would think a smack to the head that hard would have jarred some new information. But they're so resistant to it. They're so resistant.
That's interesting that you say erasure of women, because I've kind of been wondering, you know, women in the 70s, 80s really kind of stood up and said, hey, we are our own people. We want to be recognized. And that's great. But now you've got this like transgender thing where you've got men literally putting on women as a costume. And then they're literally winning women's awards. Woman of the Year went to a trans man. You know, an actor, it was a trans man. It's like, it's so crazy to me that women are kind of being erased in the name of neutrality, or It's not a he or a she, it's an it. It is now more important than she. To me, it's so bizarre.
It's really rough because there is a segment of the population, and there always has been. It goes back to ancient times, who identified as non-binary or the other gender, and none of that ever. First of all, the rates we're seeing now just defy the percentage is truly slim, and secondly, that never ever came at the cost of women or girls or their physical safety, and it never came at the cost, as you said. There's a famous case. The guy's name, excuse me, it escapes me. He's very famous in Britain. He's an Irish writer. He did one of their biggest TV shows. He was just on Megyn Kelly's show. He was arrested at Heathrow Airport by armed guards. And like cops in Britain do not carry guns, famously. So what was his crime upon landing at Heathrow? I think he had tweeted out something, pushing back against this trans orthodoxy, this ideology. And, he's been harassed by the police for years now. It's wild to me. And I see it around me all the time. People are just, you wind up in a room in a group of people who you don't maybe know, and you cannot open your mouth about anything. You will be thrown out. You will be canceled. You will be called a bigot. Your reputation will be in shreds. And so that's why these voices are so crucial and so important.
Are you talking about this guy, Tommy Robinson?
No, I think his name is Graham. He wrote a show called Father Ted, I think.
Okay.
Which was basically like Friends in the UK. I mean, it was that huge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is another guy. He was arrested for calling out that, hey, why are Pakistani men able to violate our women, and then our women go to jail for telling the police about it?
Is he in London?
He's in London area, I believe. Yes. Yeah. So
yeah, you can't say that, Stephen. You can't talk logic. You can't, and that's, I was talking about Oriana Fallaci on the Nerve the other day, because we did a mini Nerve about all of these comics, very, very famous, wealthy comics, such as Dave Chappelle, who are taking a little payday to go over to Riyadh and do the comedy festival, right near Chop Chop Square, which is where the public beheadings used to take place every Friday night. That's the town entertainment, where girls as young as 8 are married off to 50-year-old men, or where their parents kill them because they were caught going on TikTok or talking to a boy they're not related to. They're murdered by their own parents, and these comics are taking blood money. Yeah.
Wow. There's that one comedian. Oh shoot. Now I'm having a brain fart on his name. He wrote The Office. Ricky Gervais. Yeah, Ricky Gervais.
My beloved Ricky Gervais.
Oh my gosh, yes. He was roasting Hollywood, saying, like, if the Taliban was holding a casting call, you guys would go because you're so desperate for money and attention. But yeah, that's interesting. Let me go back to this switching, because also the mayor of Dallas, one of the biggest cities in Texas, has just come out and said, I'm done with the Democrats. They are not the future of this country. They've got terrible ideas. They're trying to replace us with illegals. They are not the party of racists. They are not the party of misogynists. I am done. He is moving on. I'm just wondering, are these one-offs, or are we going to start seeing more and more as we get closer to the election, where people go, listen, I'm just not that far left. I guess I have to become a Republican, kind of like Elon Musk said, I didn't leave the party left me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I would have to do more reading in on these two that you're talking about. I mean, I generally think politicians are like, those who have real core beliefs are few and far between. I mean, Cory Booker just got engaged to a woman, So I think they're probably reading the tea leaves about like, what's my best chance for getting reelected, in major cities, though, like the major Dem strongholds, LA, New York City. You're not going to see it. You're going to see a doubling down, even as people flee amid rising crime and cratering economies. New York City is on the verge of electing a socialist, beyond soft on crime, wants to open free grocery stores, give free childcare, no matter your income levels. You could be a 1%er. You want free childcare, you got it. Like the city, the titans of industry in New York City are basically like, well, maybe we got to let it just burn to the ground and then rebuild from scratch because there's no stop in the sky.
Yeah. Oh, I hate when people get what they vote for, and sometimes it's the only way. But then you also have people saying like, we didn't vote for this. We have to live under these policies. Like there's a lot of people in South Chicago that are like, we didn't vote for this, but we're stuck. We're literally trapped. I want to show you a video. Tucker Carlson humiliated billionaire Mark Cuban for saying that we should continue to support the war over in Ukraine with taxpayer money. He then asks him a question and Mark Cuban goes absolutely silent. So let me show that to you and then we'll talk about it.
Mark, let me ask you a question. What's your take on whether we should be sending money to Ukraine or not? Were you in favor of that?
Man, they need it.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a good answer. You know, I can make an argument both ways, and half my family is Ukrainian from my grandparents. And so, you know, personally, I think we should help, but I don't have a studied answer for you.
How much money have you sent to Ukraine?
None.
Oh, so what do you mean by we? You're the one whose family's from Ukraine. Like, why don't you send them $1 billion?
Because I'm trying to fix healthcare.
Why don't you fix their healthcare if you're like so deep? If you think we need to help, why don't you start? How about you first? Yeah. I notice that's never like even an option for anybody. It's like, we need to help. That's not what charity is. Forcing other people to help is not charity.
Here's the good
vanity.
News. The good news is
forcing other people to help on issues they don't care about is not charity. What are your thoughts on that? And if government started putting forward single bills where the American people got to vote, do you think the government would actually be surprised that the American people don't want what American government leaders want?
No, I don't think, and that's why it'll never happen. They don't really care what you want. You know, this, I know we're going to get to Jasmine Crockett, but you know, the recent reports we've been getting of sitting US congresswomen who have not been in office that long, who are like worth $30 million. They're public servants. Where's that money coming from? How did Nancy Pelosi become a billionaire? Is she a billionaire? If she's not, she's close to it. You know, they don't care what people want. And by the way, to your point about Chicago, and this is why Trump won and why the Dems can't figure this out. They can't admit to themselves that it's the people who are most affected by their policies, especially their soft on crime policies, that most want law and order, that are most affected by rampant crime because they live in low income communities with very little policing. So that's one whole thing right there. And I think why you see what you see in Chicago, where they're saying, we didn't vote for this. That group of people, that demographic definitely did not vote for that. Who voted for that? Rich white liberals who make themselves feel better, by voting for the progressive and the woke and the people who are going to, you know, just pat troubled, you know, career criminals on the head. I loved that exchange, actually. It's funny to watch Mark Cuban, who otherwise, if you watch him on Shark Tank, he's always like the smartest guy in the room. He can see an argument coming a million miles away. And he's like, yeah, I'm not really that educated on Ukraine, even though I'm half Ukrainian. Like, what? Yeah. You're a billionaire. You're half Ukrainian. He's always in the mix. Like people always say, Mark, will you run for president? Maybe this is why he won't, because he doesn't. Maybe it really is just the almighty dollar for him.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess you can't become a billionaire without being opportunistic and just focusing most of your energy on that. You know, I'm not personally against Ukraine and I'm not for Russia, but I've been saying for a long time, like Ukraine has lost. It's time to end this. I think it's time to pull the money, because NATO and Zelensky continue to say, we want this war to come to an end. Putin says he wants this war to come, and then they just keep attacking each other. And so at some point, I just go, okay, why do we keep sending our money over to something that doesn't want to come to an end? I don't know. So, but that made me think, like, our leaders are like, if they would just do single issue bills, but they don't. They pack everything into these omnibus bills, and then they jam their pet projects and all of the pork. And I think that they have the government they want, which is to hide in the dark and we want sunshine on there. We want to know what's happening. We want to know where our money's going. I don't know that we can ever fix that. If you've been living on credit cards just to cover groceries, gas, and bills, you know those interest rates are brutal. Why keep paying 20% or more to banks when you could call my friends at American Financing? They have mortgage rates in the 5s, and they are showing people every day how to keep more of their hard-earned money and keep it out of the hands of credit card companies. Right now, American Financing is helping homeowners save on average $800 a month by using their home equity to wipe out high interest debt. With no upfront fee and no obligation, and just a 10-minute call to a salary-based mortgage consultant. And here's the kicker. If you start today, you could save 2 mortgage payments, putting even more cash in your hands right now. Don't wait. Call American Financing now at 888-686-8030. That's 888-686-8030, or visit americanfinancing.net/Gardner.
I think the system is built to be broken. I think they like it that way. I mean, Stephen, do you really think we're ever going to get the Epstein list?
At this point, like, I'm so confused. Like, is there really a list? Is there not a list? Like,
Pam Bondi said there was a list and it was on her desk. Then she said it was a file.
yeah. And then I've had his lawyer on, and he's like, there's zero connection to Trump. There is no list. He trafficked people just for himself. And then you've got other people that are like, this guy is an asset. He must be connected to Israel, or like, so I don't know that this spider web ever gets unspun. I really don't.
It's not supposed to. But we were promised that it would. And that's sort of where I'm trying to get. You know, we were promised full transparency. We were promised we would know who the bad guys were, that they would be brought to account, to justice. We're never going to know. And it's similar to everything you're talking about. And with Ukraine, I think it's a real source of frustration for Trump. I think he really, really felt he was getting very, very close to a deal there. And Putin has been ravaging Ukraine ever since. You know, he's been embarrassing America on the world stage is what he's doing. And so I think for Trump, you know, I don't think he wants to exit this term without bringing that war to an end. I don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. Bill O'Reilly said last night, he's in a tough place because he genuinely wants to end something he probably doesn't have the ability to end. And same thing like food prices, right? He promised, I'll bring down food prices. But now you've got 10,000 different food manufacturers. They don't want to lower their prices. They don't want to lower their profits. And a president can only do so much. And this is what's really hard, is politicians make promises that they don't really know whether they can keep those or not. And so he's in a tough position there.
Yeah. It's a heartbreaker, really, because it really did feel so close. It felt so close. Even Hillary Clinton was like, yeah, you know what? I have to say, if he gets this done, nominate him for the Nobel. Nominate him, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Americans, this is one of those rare issues where Americans of both parties were really cheering this on and wanted a win, because it's a win for everybody and it's a win for Western democracy. And it's just a tragedy. Yeah.
No, it really is. Okay. Speaking of tragedy, I know that you are in the midst of writing this article. Ukrainian refugee comes to America legally. She gets a job here. She's just trying to take care of herself. A career criminal released 14 times stabs her in the neck. Now everyone's saying that this is racism to bring up skin color, that this wouldn't happen if conservative podcasters weren't putting so much attention. And the other thing that I read was they said, you know, if there weren't so many cameras, this wouldn't be such a big deal. Like, they were mad that it got captured.
It's technology's fault.
Yes, technology's fault. So now we've got this judge, Teresa Stokes. We find out that she was played a major part in allowing De Carlos Brown Jr. to walk several times. We find out that her wife has a government job specifically linked to getting people off of charges or out of jail. We also are finding that there is an NGO funded by taxpayer money that specifically tries to get criminals out of jail early. Your thoughts on how dangerous soft on crime? I feel like this is becoming a very big spotlight issue.
Yeah, and it's why the Dems are screwed unless they get their act together and knock it off with this garbage. So first of all, it's a huge problem that's dual pronged, I think, because the media has a lot to answer for here. The mainstream media is not covering this case, and trust me when I say, you want to talk about racializing stuff. If the races had been reversed, if this had been a white man who slaughtered a black woman on a commuter train in the middle of the day for no reason, oh my God, it would be Black Lives Matter Part 2. There would be marching in the streets all day long. The guy said, and is caught, sorry, it's not Tim Cook's fault. It's not the fault of Apple that we're all upset about this. We're upset because a young, beautiful refugee from Ukraine who came to America for a better life lost her life at the hands of this career criminal who's been turfed through the legal system by wrong-headed liberals. Okay. This guy said under his breath, caught on video and audio, I got the white girl.
Yeah, twice. He says it twice.
Who's racializing it? I would love to go head to head with somebody who says that it's conservatives or white media who are racializing this and if this guy isn't thrown away with the key locked, I mean, we are well and truly cooked as a society.
Yeah. I mean, I was Elon Musk put out something today where he said like all of the Department of Justice statistics show that once somebody does something 3 times, it's like there's no coming back from it. Just statistically, you can't rehabilitate these people. So when I see that somebody has been released 14 times, and then you've got Van Jones saying, oh, you think if his mother had come to the court and thrown down $1,000 that he wouldn't still be a troubled young man? Like, this isn't about cashless bail. This is about mental illness. You know, and
we don't know he's mentally ill. How do we know that? Why are we jumping to that conclusion? This is why I don't think, maybe he's got some problems, but I don't think he's mentally ill, Stephen. And this is why he slashed her throat and then he ran. So he had the cogency to go, oh, I just murdered somebody. I'm going to get arrested. I better take off.
Yeah. Let me show you MSNBC talking about Trump going into the Chicago area and the pushback.
Well, you're hearing a lot of pushback, Chris, a lot of fear and even some anger. If you talk about what we just saw here, it was another, you mentioned, 3rd day of protests against the threat of sending more ICE agents or more federal agents for that increased immigration operations here in Chicago and the threat of National Guard. But you're also hearing that pushback from Chicago's political leaders. Mayor Brandon Johnson saying the meme that you were just talking about was beneath the dignity of the president. You had J.B. Pritzker, the governor, saying that this is something that should be taken seriously, saying that the president is threatening war on a major American city. And at issue here, Chris, is not just the opposition to those increased ICE operations that are likely to come, that the governor has been warning that he's hearing is going to happen, is imminent here in Chicago, but it's also the threat that you're hearing of the National Guard.
A lot of people walking with signs. I don't know. I live in a extremely red area. I looked up the murder rate in my area. It's 0 out of 100,000 people get murdered. So for me, this is like a different planet. I cannot for the life of me, I would never see in my own city people marching on behalf of murderers, marching on behalf of sexual assault, marching on behalf of doing horrible things to children. I wouldn't see it. So for me, I'm like, is this even America? I don't know. Do these Democrat voters actually want crime in their cities?
I love that these protesters are masked up. Nothing like the courage of your convictions. I thought MSNBC changed their call letters, but they haven't gotten around to it at the graphics department yet. If I'm getting news from MSNBC, which NBC is currently spinning off into outer space because it is such a loss leader, that correspondent who says he's on the street, he says, well, what you're hearing is a lot of pushback. Really quantify that for me, because you're telling me something with zero facts to back it up. JB Pritzker, who's currently on the jab because he wants to be president. That's what a lot of that like harumphing on social media is about. This is exactly the problem. And this ICE stuff this is again, he's got to thread this needle because so where I'm coming to you from, the East End of Long Island, a lot of wealthy people out here. They had a town hall meeting before summer began, because summer's when the influx of like the really like the 1%ers from the city come in and they batten down for the summer. They had a town hall meeting, Stephen, in which I believe it was the mayor addressed concerned citizens and said, don't worry, Trump's not sending ICE out here. Your landscapers are fine. Your housekeepers are fine. Your drivers and your caretakers are fine. Don't worry about it. And it's, I mean, it's a rules for thee, not for me situation. Do the average Americans want criminals who have come across the border illegally out? Yeah. They don't want to see, I think, raids at like warehouses or manufacturers where it's just like hardworking people trying to get by here for a better life. Maybe they did it the right way. Maybe they did it the wrong way. I think as long as he focuses on the hardcore bangers, then I think he's got the backing of most of America.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you see like, okay, this person snuck into the country 5 times. The reason that they left Mexico was for strangling somebody, and they have death, killing somebody on their criminal record. And then Democrats fight for that person to stay in the country. It looks really bad. But like, hey, I'm a mom. I came up from Honduras with my family. I clean houses or whatever. It's like, yeah, you could say, yeah, they broke the law. They came here illegally. But there's such a difference in my mind of who I want to walk down the street with. I mean, that's where I want to see. Now, speaking of criminals, you had Jasmine Crockett on a podcast saying it's okay to steal. A lot of people that steal, they're just stealing out of necessity. They don't want to be thieves. And it's okay as long as it's just a little bit to get by. But whenever there's like a riot, the first thing I see is Walmart's being ransacked and Nike stores. So it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so emotionally damaged. I need a new pair of Air Jordans. But let's go ahead and see what Steve Cortez had to say as a rebuttal to Jasmine Crockett's words.
Yes, those are all the crimes, Steve.
Right.
Like when you're talking about serious crime, that's their fallback. Right. But they can never actually show a single case. This is like, remember, I think AOC said it. Oh, they're stealing for bread.
Right. Yeah. How many people for real are stealing diapers and food? All right. It seems to me they're stealing booze and tennis shoes. All right. And a lot cooler stuff than that. But also, for her to act like these aren't serious crimes, getting back to Chicago. In Chicago, as long as you don't steal $1,000, you're not even prosecuted, right? Yeah. Well, that's still a heck of a lot of theft, right? And what that does to quality of life in a place is really, really significant. So there's a small number of super predators. We know who they are, but the Dems continue to defend the indefensible, right? We see this time and again, and Trump largely puts them in that position, and it's genius to do so, right? Yeah. That they're defending Kilmar, that they're defending lawlessness in the streets, that they're defending terrorists in the open ocean who are on the way to the United States. I mean, let's keep letting the Dems paint themselves into that corner.
Yeah,
All right. I agree with what he's saying, but I don't know that it's enough to win elections. I worry, because if we really are like a 48% country, is cracking down on crime really going to move the needle? I don't know. People on our side, we go, of course, this is great. It's brilliant. On the other side, they go, this is terrible. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, this is, again, why Trump won. And it was the silent Trump voter. Anyone with an iota of sense can look around. And by the way, welcome to New York City, where our looters graduated a long time ago, Stephen, to the likes of Chanel and Balenciaga. Okay, they're not effing around. They're not going to loot the local CVS anymore because, as we all know, the guards have gotten their marching orders from the CEOs to stand down. And these are the same CEOs that were hiring the likes of fraudsters, my opinion, like Robin DiAngelo, and to come in and give talks on how white people are racist. And if you think that you're not a racist, it's just further proof that you're racist. And by the way, racism is a problem that can never be solved. So line her pockets so she can tell you more about institutional and what would Prince Harry call it? Unconscious bias, you know? So it's a trickle down like corrosion that has come from not just government but from corporate America, you know, and so these guards are hired to stand helplessly by while looters come in and escape with millions and millions of dollars worth of merchandise. I do think crime is you know, so you know, I'm writing this column and I'm going to talk about, I think I knew this would happen, and I hate to say that I'm right about it, but I'm going to say maybe as recently as 4 weeks ago, a man walked up Park Avenue in broad daylight in New York City carrying a long rifle. And he walked into one of the most expensive, posh office complexes in Midtown Manhattan that houses, among other major heavy hitters, the NFL offices. And he shot up that building, and I believe he killed 4 people. And I knew, I was like, you know, by the time we start really having debates, mayoral debates before our election, people are going to forget this ever happened because the news cycle's so fast. But that, to me, you know, people pay attention to this stuff. They don't forget. Whether the media does, I don't think people really forget.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see, you know, because I bring guests on and they're always talking about how we might lose the 2026 election and that might hamstring Trump, make him a lame duck, or they'll just impeach him. And I'm like, is this about fundraising, or is the Republican Party really in danger of their common sense policies not resonating with enough Americans? I don't know. To me, it seems like we're winning. Things aren't perfect, but there's a lot of good momentum going. I guess maybe it's just the Republicans' election to lose rather than win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think messaging is everything, you know, and I think the problem the Republicans have always had is they're up against the mainstream media, which is really slanted one way and tells one story. But I think it's podcasts like yours, like Megyn Kelly's, like all of these these forms of media that people are now turning to because they realize they're not getting told the full story. And this slaughter of this woman, this young woman, by the way, that's a tipping point, and the Republicans should absolutely capitalize on that. They should absolutely use it because this is what people are really concerned about. Stephen, can I pause for 1 second? I think this guy is here. Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It's okay. Sorry. Go on.
Okay. No
Sorry.
worries.
Just my editor.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Let me go over this last story with you. So it came out today. This is a breaking news story that the Biden administration, leading up to the debate, basically lied, artificially invented 911,000 jobs. They're now removing those. They've had to do this before. So they're literally subtracting like nearly 1 million jobs from Biden's success track record, his bullet points. So I feel like Biden got all of the credit and Trump is getting all of the cleanup. Let me go ahead and play this video and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
This data covers from April of 2024 to March of 2025, and it shows the end of the Biden administration was possibly not as big in terms of job growth as first thought of this. Now, the Biden administration, they created in this period 1.76 million jobs. So the 911,000 will be subtracted from the 1.76 million jobs, which comes out to 849,000. Showing the Biden job growth not as strong as first thought.
All right. So, I mean, this is like a massive lie from the Biden administration. Trump is left cleaning it up. But then you've got the people on the left immediately. You've got Midas Touch, MSNBC, CNN. Holy crap, job growth revised down $911,000. The largest markdown came in leisure, hospitality, professional and business service. Trump is destroying our economy. So Trump is destroying the economy based on nearly 1 million fabricated jobs by Joe Biden. How do we overcome that messaging?
You just lay out the facts. You just lay out the facts and you back it up, rather than having a correspondent on a corner in Chicago saying, many are saying, or some are saying, they're alarmed by the presence of ICE here. You know, like, you got to quantify it. Give me the numbers, give me the metrics, give me the dates, give me the timeline. This, you know, again, is it any surprise? So you'll love this. I was talking to some people fairly recently, dyed in the wool Dems, and they were talking about the election and Kamala and how did she do? And they were saying, you know, and this is a very common conversation you'll hear among progressives in New York, you know, the regular talking points that they got from the media. Oh, she did as good as she could have with the amount of time that she had. You know, people just aren't ready for a woman. And my favorite repeat hit, you know, Biden really should have dropped out sooner. I'm sorry. What were we hearing in the run up to that debate? Biden's fine. Not only is he fine, ask Joe Scarborough. It's the best Biden ever. He's more cogent. My favorite Joe Scarborough, right? That cogent came right from the diaphragm. He's more cogent than ever. And if you can't take the truth, then F off, you know? And it's like, then that debate happens and the media is like, oh yeah, yeah, he should really go. You know, I mean, so again, I think there is a silent voter out there that remains. The silent Trump voter is still out there. The silent Trump voter is in your water supply. It's in your air supply. The silent Trump voter sits next to you at your cubicle at work, you know, or is taking your ticket on the train. Like, at your peril, keep going. That's what I say.
Thank you for reminding me about the silent voter. Because I'm so like out there, you know, I've got all the MAGA hats I wear out. I'm constantly 7 days a week putting out content. But I forget there's a lot of people that they quietly vote. They see what's going on with the country. Thank you for reminding me about that, because I just assume everybody's just out actively talking about it, but they're not.
And, you know, again, it's what conversation dominates mainstream media, whether it's news or entertainment, which have essentially fused into the same thing, you know? And if you read, you know, I was saying to my editor this morning, like, not that physical papers have the power they once did, but I always look at them because I want to see what kind of play they're giving any story. And I'm going to bet that the slaughter of this Ukrainian refugee on a commuter train is not on page 1. And I doubt it's on page A12. I doubt it's the front page of their national section. And that tells me a lot. That tells me everything. What they choose to not talk about is as important as what they choose to talk about.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Maureen, if people want to catch The Nerve and your articles, I'm going to put those down below so that they can find them very, very easily. How often are you putting out a show so that people know when to look?
Sure. We do 2.5 shows a week. So we drop on Tuesday mornings, Friday mornings, The Nerve. Saturdays at 10 Eastern is the Mini Nerve, which is only available at YouTube right now. We are doing our first live stream for Emmy night, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're doing our own red carpet special. We got a panel of guests. It's going to be a banger. And the next day, Monday, we're going to do our Emmys wrap up.
Okay. I will put a link to that and your X and your column down below. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insight. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Same to you, Stephen. Thanks for having me.